This year has been a stat year for anime. With hit after hit dropping all last season, a lot of newer and less anticipated shows are getting left behind, regardless of how great they actually are. And one anime that I think is being left behind is Sentenced to Be a Hero. Honestly, this show deserves way more attention than it's getting, but why? Because when you look at it, this anime has everything fans of dark fantasy would love. An interesting premise, strong themes, a fun cast, and animation that I'd argue is on par, if not better, than some of the more popular anime airing this year. So what is Sentenced to Be a Hero? The anime, animated by Studio Kai, and is an adaptation of the dark fantasy light novel written by Wakit Shokai and illustrated by Mephisto, follows the so-called hero named Xylo Forbarts, a former knight commander who was turned into a hero after committing the ultimate crime. He killed a goddess, the kingdom's most valuable weapon, but this wasn't an act of malice, it was an act of mercy. And because the kingdom couldn't allow the truth behind her murder to get out, they gave him the ultimate punishment. He was sentenced to be a hero.
You see what I did there? Get it? Because it's the title of the... Okay, I'll go.
And now, alongside a group of other condemned heroes, he is forced to fight against the creatures threatening humanity while also dealing with the very system that exploits him. But here's the thing. In this world, being a hero is actually worse than death. You see, the only people given the title of hero are the worst criminals imaginable. So from the start, society doesn't trust you, they really hate you. They're basically treated like expendable weapons that are sent on these suicide missions that even trained soldiers would refuse to take. And if they refuse, they are killed instantly, Suicide Squad style. But here's when things get even darker. In this world, heroes aren't allowed to die. If they are killed, the church will use forbidden magic to drag their souls back from hell and resurrect them. And every time that happens, you will lose a piece of yourself, your memories, your identity, your humanity. And if it happens too many times, you'll end up like this guy. This is Tazuya. And yeah, I like Tazuya, but you don't want to be Tazuya. He's powerful, but completely insane. And for Xylo, things only get worse. He ends up caught in a situation where another hero steals a coffin belonging to a goddess. So obviously, this is something that should not be in the hands of criminals like these two. But the goddess Tarita awakens from the coffin and ends up forming a pact with Xylo. And now, whether he likes it or not, she's stuck with him and his colorful team of misfit heroes with their own little silly personalities, and together they are forced to fight against the demon's army, a terrifying force made up of corrupted zombie-like creatures led by powerful generals known as demon lords. And their goal is to spread the demon's blight, infecting every living thing and turning the entire world into a stagnant, immortal wasteland of hollows. Now, yeah, this show definitely has elements you've seen before in this genre, but what makes it stand out and honestly feels more refreshing to me is its perspective. This isn't a story told from the viewpoint of admired heroes, it's told through the people who are deeply hated by the very ones they are forced to protect. And that creates some really interesting moments. Even when they save lives, even when they do everything right, they are still treated with distance, with fear, and with disgust. And it really makes you think just how terrible you have to be given the title of hero in this world. Or does the title of hero something these people truly deserve? And the answers to these questions are more realized the more you get introduced to newer characters. Take Norgyle, for example. At first glance, he doesn't seem that special. He doesn't have any flashy powers or anything like that. But what makes him dangerous is his mind. He specializes in heavy weaponry and explosives, and naturally takes on the leadership role, pushing his team into battle no matter how risky the situation is. And it's qualifiers like these that make you question, how did he become a hero? Well, it all started from his delusion. Before becoming a hero, Norgyle led a massive terrorist revolution against the Holy Federated Kingdom, claiming he was the rightful heir to a throne that the kingdom had erased. And even though that revolution completely failed, he still carries that same mindset into every mission. And although the show does present Norgyle as a extremely insane lunatic, as the show goes on and gets deeper into the conspiracy, you start to question that maybe there may be some validity to Norgyle's original cause. And just like with Xylo, maybe he isn't as guilty as we are being told. And it's characters like this, broken, extreme, and honestly unpredictable, that makes this show feel so different from your typical fantasy anime, even if these characters don't get as much attention as our main characters, Xylo, Terita, and Kivia, who's given a lot of time to shine by the end of the season, but I don't want to spoil anything. Another aspect I mentioned earlier is the animation, and honestly Studio Kai did an amazing job here. What's surprising is that they're actually a relatively new studio, only being formed in 2019, and yet a show like this, one that isn't nearly as popular as other anime this year, still looks this good. And I think that really says a lot about how much the standard for animation has improved in the 2020s, but also how passionate and talented these animators are. And it's not just the visuals. The soundtrack, composed by Sunsuke Takizawa, adds a lot to the experience as well. The way the music complements the tone and the atmosphere really helps elevate a lot of the scenes, and the perfect example of everything I've discussed in this video is in episode 1. Personally, I love the modern approach to first episodes. Honestly, the idea of having them an hour long really gives you more time to actually understand the characters and start to form a connection with everything that's going on. And honestly, I think more anime should take that approach. Shout out Oshinoko. Now, Since to Be a Hero may not be the most talked about anime this year, but it doesn't mean it should be overlooked. Between its unique perspective on what it means to be a hero, its cast of odd, broken, and unpredictable characters, and the way it blends dark themes with genuinely strong animation and music, it's doing a lot more than I feel people giving it credit for. And I think the biggest reason why this is the case is because on the surface, it looks just like another fantasy anime. Oh, and also, JJK, Hell's Paradise, Oshinoko, Fire Force, and Frieren were all airing at the same time, so yeah. The show didn't really stand a chance. But once you give it a chance, it becomes very clear that it had something pretty special. So if you're someone who's into darker series, complex characters, and anime that actually tries to do something a little different, this is definitely one worth checking out. And if you enjoyed the video, feel free to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, and let me know what you think of the show. Or if there's an anime you think is underrated, I would definitely like to check it out. And yeah, till then, it's been Oni Ame, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.